Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vintage Super League Week 7. I am Brian Kelly, and I'm here with Rachel Agnes. There she is. And we are going to watch Brian Coval play against Bob Maher. It is going to be Blue Belcher versus Lands. Brian does not feel really favored there. What do you think, Rachel?
I mean, I don't know. If you want me to be like so honest, I could sit here and I could say, well, the Lance Belcher match, I've seen it. No, I haven't. I think Belcher is favored, so that would be my guess. But I think Brian does have some things that can come into play.
There definitely are, and Bob could mull to oblivion. And I should tell the audience that in the last game, I misclicked on the thing. Like, I clicked yes, and then it went to the next trigger. I'm used to these things happening in Magic Online. There was a really funny meme that my friend Matt put around based on a quote that I said, which was, "I still beat Delver even after I flusterstormed my own treasure cruise." Because I used to, they can't deal with Dramoka. It was a while ago, and that dragon shows up and that's it. But the fact remains that I did flusterstorm my own treasure cruise because of all the flusters going around on Magic Online and this trigger and that trigger. There might have been monks involved too, and yeah. So Matt liked that, and he made a little JPEG of, I don't know, it showed like a baby sticking his finger in the socket, and it was like, I still beat Delver even when I flusterstorm my own treasure cruise. But there's my funny story for today.
Here's the thing, Brian, is all you were doing was making an even playing field for your opponents because you're very good. You were actually just being the nicest.
Well, thank you. I hope to have that reputation as being nice.
Absolutely, I think 100%.
I'm very glad to hear that. So have you enjoyed piloting workshops with Metallic Mimic?
I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool to be know that you have like a more aggro hand, or you can be more aggro, which I think is really great. And I mean, maybe it's not good, maybe it's just fun, but I mean, that has to be some part of Vintage, right?
Yeah. I thought there was a chance you would play shops.
That's kind of my go-to when I can't play my one true love, which is Monastery.
I remember
Ravager's good enough.
It's a very strong deck. And I remember when you were on the Hornet Queens that you played Karn Goes Shopping. That was the name of the deck. I loved the deck names that the Hornet Queens put out. I remember a lot of them. We
killed it.
The Rainbow Coalition. There was White Diamonds for White Eldrazi. Certainly Karn Goes Shopping. There was Finessin, which was the first time Survival made its debut in the Vintage Super League.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think the names to me, deck names are one of the most fun things about Eternal because you're 100%. If you play Standard or in Modern, decks are pretty stock, and if you make like something's new, it's just the color of the deck and like the most important card in the deck or the general thing of the deck. We can be awesome, and we can come up with all types of fun things in Legacy, and Vintage, and Old School. We get to kind of show a little bit of personality in the
certainly. All right, the players are ready, so we have Blue Belcher versus Lands. All right. Wow. Did I? Oh, the chalice is in. Wait.
This is a powerful hand for.
Oh, okay. I think they're reversed. That's why I saw the chalice.
Okay, let's be honest. We were just checking to make sure chat was paying attention.
And
they were, I'm sure.
Do we know who won the die roll?
It appears as though Brian Coval with Lands won the die roll.
How can you tell?
Okay, well, it's a little bit of a guess, but it's just off of. Okay, no, maybe. When it's ticking down, I just assume that person won, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to see.
Brian's hand is. That's really good considering how many cards are in Brian's deck that don't really interact.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a chalice and a misstep. He's only on 2 missteps.
Gonna be pretty good for this preordain. Although this chalice, man.
I think Bob has to force the chalice.
You must, but that feels really bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that feels terrible.
So Brian, will probably misstep the preordain.
Well, I don't think he can.
If he has a blue card on top,
currently.
and yeah.
Okay, now he can cast it, and,
now
he gets to cry when it's misstep. It's like, wow, okay, perfect. I drew the card that now I can cast my card just to have it misstep.
Brian's going to want to try to find Null Rod with his Bazaar.
Mm-hmm.
He can pitch the extra Wasteland. He's only going to get 1 use out of that.
That's definitely true. 100%. Wow, Wasteland's not even good against this deck. They don't play any lands. It's like,
except when it's really good when you hit the Academy before they kill you.
Yes. Yes. That was kind of an unexciting Bazaar.
Yeah. All right. Crop rotation.
Good.
I guess, Brian can probably... He can hold off Belcher indefinitely if he can get a Glacial Chasm loop going, right?
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, he can. And now that he has Exploration, that's actually a possibility.
Yeah.
Against me, he had Glacial Chasm, but without like an effect like a Mana Bond or an Exploration, it's you will suffer under it.
Yeah. And the Thorn that you played was so strong against him. It did so much work.
How about that draw?
That's a good one.
That's just a gnat right off the top. Yeah.
So does he have a Riftstone portal in the graveyard yet?
No, it doesn't appear so. I think we'll end up being fine.
That would be incredible if Brian won, because the main deck benefits... I think it benefits Bob ordinarily to have so little interaction.
Yeah, and I mean he does have some good spells against him, like he has the Null Rod's but he's probably going to win, and he hit none of those.
Yeah, and it's not like your deck where you have so many lands that can pump out a turn 1 Null Rod. A turn 1 Null Rod is actually not that easy for Brian because he only has 3 Moxen.
Yeah. Wow. So he drew the Null Rod in the end, though.
Wow. That's a great draw.
I mean, it's just like extra, right? It's like, okay, I would like to take out an insurance policy. Absolutely. I will be willing to wait an extra time.
Yeah.
Make sure nothing goes wrong. Make sure nothing happens.
All right. So Brian's bringing in those Cinder Vines, Stony Silence, Needle.
Okay. So he has a lot to bring in here. And what is Bob bringing in?
Probably I'm not sure. Mishra's Workshop, maybe. Chain of Vapor and Void Snare.
Chain and Void Snare makes sense. Yep, absolutely.
It might be tempting to bring in the Spirit Guides and go for the beatdown plan. It might not be correct, but it's the kind of thing that I would look at and think, this person's going to be dedicating themselves entirely to shutting up.
This is why you're a genius, though. That is definitely something I would not even
Thank you. That's so kind. It might not be right, though, but
you're thinking about it, so you have the flexibility of thought.
Because Brian might board out the Tabernacle. I mean, I would anticipate that my opponent might board out Tabernacle of Pendril Vale against a
Probably not
creatureless
great against you.
Belcher deck, and Maze Vith as well.
The only problem, right, is with boarding in Simian Spirit Guides is that even good? Even if they board that out and you cast it and you get to attack with it, like is that even? I guess would be my follow-up thought to that.
Maybe if someone over prepares for artifact and then they're not really drawing well, like if Brian keeps a hand that doesn't have Bazaar and it's like Chalice, Null Rod, Ancient Grudge, which is a keepable hand against Belcher, and you just play a Simian Spirit Guide, I mean, there is a chance that would get there before someone properly develops. I think. Oh wow, that's a tough call. It has a turn 2 Null Rod, which you don't know if you're going to survive to turn 2 when you play against Belcher. Oh.
I think I'm back. Am I back?
I think so. I didn't know if I was still there, so I didn't say anything for a moment. Sorry about that. I didn't know if I had disappeared or...
Okay, so what did I miss? Okay, so I see a Null Rod in Brian's hand.
Yeah, I think he kept the hand on the strength of the Null Rod.
Yes. Because he has no other ways to cast anything at the moment. And Bob's hand, pretty
explosive.
Explosive, right? And
yeah, turn 1 Belcher, and it says answer this. If Bob has a mana source on top, he would win, unless Tolarian Academy is close to the top of his library. Then you will end up...
It would be an honest Belcher, right? Like
a fair Belcher. So let's see what he draws.
What's gonna happen? This is exciting.
Grim Monolith. All right, so it has to deal 20, because if it doesn't, he's going to get Null Rotted. So this is a really important Belcher activation.
This is so exciting, though, right?
Yeah.
All right. Fire it. Fire it off. We want to see it. All right, everybody. Put your hands in the air.
Oh, no.
35 cards. 35 cards. His Tolarian Academy definitely worked for him that time. It hit at the very bottom.
Yeah, that would have been awful if it wasn't lethal.
Like, imagine it's like...
and then you just get Null Rotted. Oh. So we're on to game 3.
That was fast. That was,
Yeah. That was Belcher speed.
Oh my gosh. That was very fun.
Yeah, that was a lot was riding on that single Belcher activation. Usually when my opponent activates Belcher, I'm just like, all right, we're done, next game. But that time you really had to pay attention.
Yeah. One more turn, right?
Would
have made all the difference.
All the difference.
Completely different game. All right, so Brian gets to be on the play this time.
Yeah. I think post-board it gets a little better for Brian because he gets to bring the Spear and the Thorn.
Right. Brian's cards are so tiny, it's like little cards for ants.
If I were Brian, I would wonder whether the stage depths is a better way to kill him or the tireless tracker, because usually with Belcher your win condition just doesn't matter at all. You just have to stop them from functioning, and then you can win with a Stoneforge Mystic.
Ooh, this is an interesting hand for Brian. This is not a. Oh, okay. There's a pedal in there. It was hiding. Does the pedal change things?
I think that's a bad hand.
It's pretty bad.
Lion's Eye Diamond is so bad.
In this situation,
in an opening hand like that, yeah.
I think that's a definite mulligan on Bob's side, and then for
Right.
Brian, I think it's definitely a keep, right? That is an
I
emerald,
think
right?
so.
Yeah. He has an emerald. He has a Bazaar activation. He has a Luminous Hand to pitch to Bazaar.
An exploration.
Yeah, the only thing he wants is white mana.
Mm-hmm.
Or a Riftstone Portal to put.
Exactly. So Loam.
Mm-hmm. So I think he Bazaars there, right? Because he wants to see if he can, if he's gonna find that.
Definitely.
Stony turn one.
Mm-hmm.
But did not work out that way. But he found some good things. Probably the okay. Looks like he's okay. So he ended up putting the 2 life from the Loams, which are easy, and then his third choice, the one that had actual thought to it, was he put in the bin Exploration. I guess with fast fund, do you really need it? You'd rather have
you don't need the Exploration.
Nope. Even though the Wastelands are not like the second Wasteland's not important. It's just to have the mana.
I like that he kept them in his hand, or at least that he kept one. There is a chance that maybe one of them could have been played in case Bob goes all this stuff, a Tolarian Academy Time Twister, then you might want to waste the Academy.
Yeah.
Or some.
Well, he had I think he has to Bazaar that,
He wants Bazaar fodder.
Yeah.
Oh boy, turn 1, either Tezzeret or Diminishing Returns. Probably Tezzeret.
I would play Tezzeret, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jam me too.
I think you just win. I think you just use Tezzeret to untap 2 artifacts, and then it's lethal the turn afterwards.
Let's see if Bob uses that mode. Seems like he's thinking about it. If he does not, if he decides to go get the Belcher, and then he gets his next turn, let's say, this would be another honest Belch. Which is something I personally am about.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so you would probably want to get Voltaic Key.
Yes.
If you were gonna get, if you were gonna Vault Key.
Yes.
And that might be better than the Belcher if you think the opponent is going to crop rotate into Glacial Chasm. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So he took that line.
Yes, he did.
Wow. That's pretty good for Bob because the Stony Silence can get Chain and Vapored.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian, I don't think.
What is he? So it's a Chalice, a Dark Depths, and I can't see the third card. Thespian Stage? I want to say it is.
Yeah, he has. I think he wants to find Glacial Chasm to prevent 20 damage, or an Ancient Grudge to at least kill one of the artifacts.
Mm-hmm. Trying to see what the second one did.
There's
I
a
can see
there's a Taiga.
for sure.
And I think I see Riftstone Portal.
Okay. Oh, okay. That could definitely be Riftstone
A
Portal.
stage, Dark Depths.
Well, we're gonna find.
Oh boy.
If there is a Riftstone Portal that turns his wastelands into white mana.
Yeah. But if you play Stony Silence, he just loses.
That is true. So he's still thinking about what he's going to discard here. He doesn't want to discard because it looks like he's in on Loaming.
Yeah.
And if he's in on Loaming, so let's think about this. He plays his Wasteland, Loams, he gets back
Thespian Stage, Dark Depths, and some other land.
Right, but that's not enough. Well, yes, it is because
it is because of the Riftstone Portal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you know what, he could actually double loam. He can do that, and then
Did not go with our play. Brian is Galaxy Brain doing something else. Yeah. So he is going to. He got back low. He went loam. Wow.
Good play. He has to but it's if Bob draws a mana source, the Chain of Vapor would be brutal.
Okay, so he's casting this.
You know what? But by double loaming with the fast bond, he his life total will be low enough that just 3 of the artifacts hitting him will be lethal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he is.
So I think Bob just wins by ultimating Tezzeret and attacking for 20, and one of them will get blocked by Merit Lage. If he wants to be nasty, he could attack with just 3 of them and then Chain of Vapor, but that wouldn't be good because Brian could bounce his own land and then
got extra text on that. That never happens.
All right, so that looks like Tezzeret Ultimate.
Wow. I'm living the dream today to be able to see this.
This is incredible.
We got to see just entire combo, like turn 1 from Brian. We got to see this.
Yeah.
Man, 2020 indestructible, you know?
Yeah. So he chooses to block the Chrome mod. You don't hear that very often.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that was a crazy match, and I don't think you see Belcher win that way very often.
No,
it's definitely a possibility. It's definitely something that has happened, but that is so sick that we got to see that on VSL.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I've seen it a few times with Belcher. Tezzeret is such a powerful threat. It's really good in that deck. I mean, you can get the Belcher, you have the Vault Key combo, and then of course it wins through Null Rod. Because Brian easily could have played the Null Rod there, the Stony Silence, and it wouldn't matter. Mm-hmm. I did that to Merfolk once. They played a Null Rod, and I was playing like some kind of Bomberman, but I had Tezzeret, and I just attacked all Merfolk with all the artifacts, and it felt really good.
Absolutely. So,
So,
if you don't mind, I know I want to ask you a little bit about your deck. So, what were some of the things that you were thinking when you put in like telepathy and things like that, like all those fun one ofs that you have?
well, I needed to keep a certain density of enchantment list. Because if I went too low on enchantments, I would like draw Enchantress and not draw enchantments. And so I wanted there to be around like 15 or 17 enchantments. I played Telepathy because it was in the Gitaxian Probe slot. And if you're playing Enchantress, Telepathy, it does the same thing, but it's an enchantment. You don't draw a card without the Enchantress in play, but sometimes you draw 2 or 3 cards because you have multiple Enchantresses in play, and it's still pretty good. So that's why I played Telepathy, because I wanted one other enchantment. I tried Mystic Remora, but I don't really have the mana base to keep that going all the time and still function.
Mhm.
Um, so that is why I ultimately didn't play Mystic Remora.
Okay.
Aegis of the Gods was just like, I want another enchantment, but I also want a creature, because sometimes it was hard to find Monastery Mentor and Dromoka. Like, they could be in the bottom 10 cards of the library. And then my opponents would like try to Dak fade me to death because my library was low. And, once or twice that actually happened. And that's why I added the Nimble Obstructionist from
Mhm.
testing against Xerox. Because if they wanted to ultimate a Planeswalker against me, I would just use his cycling ability. Or if they played a Jace or a Dak very early on, I wanted another Flash Flyer, and I tested Vendilion Click, Spell Queller, and Nimble Obstructionist. And Nimble Obstructionist was by far the best. So good that I actually want to put him in a normal deck, like a normal standstill deck. I want to try that.
Ooh, okay, that'll be spicy. I have to check back for that.
It's really good.
That's awesome. Did you expect? What did you think everyone was going to play? Did you have a thought?
Mm-hmm. I
Okay,
thought that you would be on Workshops or
yeah, you said that.
Survival.
Yeah, good deck.
I thought that Bob would be on a Paradoxical Outcome because he is the Dark Confidant and he's had an affinity for big blue style combo decks. I mean, he was playing Vault Key when everyone thought Vault Key had gone out of style. I remember that several seasons ago. I was like, wow, that's like old school Tinker Time Vault. Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time had just been printed, so the metagame had shifted entirely towards Xerox. And I didn't know what Brian would be on. I figured it wouldn't be Paradoxical Outcome because I thought that would be boring. When you're absolutely not in contention, there's no reason to play a deck that's nothing other than a hyper competitive, potentially bad viewing experience.
Right, right, absolutely. I knew I would be surprised, but I was very surprised still. And what made you want to play Enchantress?
I had always wanted to play it at some point in the VSL, and it's something that we started. Well, I started a few years ago, and some of my friends have put their own spins on it, and so it's like it's been there. We've had it, and I always wanted to play it at some point, and I gave it a few spins, and I was just like, I think now's the time. That I'm probably not going to make it into the playoffs, starting at 1-2. Like
I
I said,
mean,
there's
you have the ability, but yeah, you kind of. I don't know. I actually think it kind of matches up pretty well, though, right? Like going into it, I was like, I think this Enchantress deck has good, like, has game or is favored in all, against all of them.
it definitely has game against everything. I couldn't find Rest in Peace that last game. That was sad,
Yeah.
but we have no control over that. All right, so you and I are playing in the last match of the evening, and we will be back after this short break. So thank you everyone for joining.